Hey, are we ever going to have some fun today? You are going to love this. Trust me on that. I've got a story that you're going to love to hear, and I don't even know what the story's about. It could be about addiction. It could be about the heart of a mom caring for her daughter. It could be about a family. It could have been about relationships down the hall or living with some very unsettled issues. But I have got two of my favorite people in the whole world. I've got to tell you, Kathy and April, I've really been looking forward to this time together. And let me give a little background before we get into this. Kathy and I, this is Kathy Hill and her daughter April. Kathy and I worked together for about 10 years. Would that be 12 years maybe? And I've seen you come from what would I say, when you were out in the field, and then you got the in-office job, and then you sort of my dad always said, cream rises to the top. So you ran to the top. And I feel sort of badly that we worked together for all those years, and I never heard your story. And I think maybe in the conclusion of our time together today, this might be a real incentive for us to listen to our coworkers more than, hey, how are you? Or that horrible thing I hear you say all the time. What is it? Roll Tide.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to do that. So, Kathy, welcome here. Thank you for your vulnerability of sharing your story. April, thank you for taking time out of your day to be able to be here. So, Kathy, let's start with you. Your father was a preacher.
Yes. Late in life.
Oh, late in life. What did he do just during normal life?
He was a mechanic and a drunk and a womanizer.
Oh, okay. We're jumping into the deep end here. So we didn't have a good relationship with Dad?
He was absent a lot because he was, he worked as a mechanic during the day, and then we would see him occasionally on the weekends.
A drunk womanizer becomes preacher. There's a story there. How
Yes.
in the world did that happen?
I think I had just turned 19, and Dad came home and woke everybody up about 2 a.m. in the morning, one Sunday morning, and told us all to get up and told us that he was at a chicken fight in Stone Mountain, and he got saved behind the barn. And we were all going to go to church. So we stayed up all night. And he went, that morning, he went to Avondale Baptist Church, I believe, and immediately went to the altar and apologized for heckling them all of his drunk life.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did you believe it?
It was surreal. I thought, oh, this won't last. But it did until he passed. So,
did you have a lot of undoing when you saw drunk womanizing Dad become a non-dad, I suspect, to an incredible dad? Or was that a...
Well, I got married months after, so I wasn't at home when he was, the good dad.
So this jailhouse conversion stuck.
Yes.
And then he became a pastor of some sort.
That's correct.
Were you ever a church person in all of that, or you were just a normal 17-year-old kid?
I was not. We didn't go to church. If the only time we ever went to church is when we would go back to Alabama to visit my mother's parents, my grandparents.
So all this happened in Georgia.
It all happened in Georgia.
So there is a good part of, so you still have a place for Georgia in your heart, even though you're an Alabama
home.
girl. It's
home.
Well, then why don't you get your car painted black and red rather than that other color that says go,
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. So you're just a diehard Auburn girl.
Alabama.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Not Auburn.
Alabama, yeah. What a background that you brought into a marriage. How old were you when you got married?
I was 19 when I got married.
And what kind of guy did you marry?
I married a guy that was from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He was living in Georgia at the time, and he was just, nothing extraordinary. I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. He was a good guy. So,
did you two have a church experience together?
no, we did not.
Okay, so your daddy's experience didn't really rub off on you a whole lot.
Not until
at that point.
No, not until we moved from Atlanta after I got married to Tuscaloosa, and I had my first child. And one night I was asleep and I was awakened and knew that I needed to accept Jesus. So, and we had no phone. We lived in a trailer in Tuscaloosa.
Well, doesn't everybody No, I'm not even going to say that. I shouldn't have. Okay.
Sort of.
So your father had sort of a midnight conversion experience of some, and then you repeat that same kind of thing. But there's some other things that were repeated as well. When you got married, this is what I understand, just Joe off the street or a friend or however that worked, he didn't share a whole lot about that. He had an addiction of some sort?
My dad?
Your husband?
No, he really didn't. My first husband did not.
Oh, okay.
My first husband didn't have, he was just a good old boy. And
how long did that marriage last?
A little less than 5 years.
What broke it up?
When I became a Christian, he was not happy. He told me that I was not the woman he married. And he wasn't happy to be with me anymore, so he filed for divorce.
Okay. You lived then how long alone? Or unmarried?
Unmarried. 6 years.
Okay, then man number 2 came into your life.
Correct.
Who was this guy?
He was Ricky Hill. He lived next door to me in Gadsden, Alabama.
Why'd you go back to Alabama? I think that's where your life went wrong.
Yeah.
Keep going back there.
I blame that on the first husband.
Oh, okay.
He wanted to move back home, so.
So what kind of guy was Ricky? He
was very good looking, 7 years younger than me, man.
Well, there you go.
And, he moved to Texas, and he called me from out there and said that he missed me and he wanted me to move out there and marry him. So me and my daughter went out there and we got married.
Wait, who was this daughter? You had a daughter?
Stacy, with my first husband.
Okay. You and Stacy moved to marry a Texan Ricky.
Yeah. Well, he moved out there to get a job, so
I see. Now, did he have an addiction problem of some
Yes.
sort? Okay, tell me about that. So I just missed this first marriage. So your husband was hiding when you got married. Did you ever know that he had some kind of...
I knew that he drank.
Okay.
I didn't know about any other kind of, drugs. And I don't know that even was the case when we first got married.
But later he got into drugs?
Correct.
Pretty badly?
Yes. Cocaine.
Ah.
I think that was the first. There was always pot, but the hard drugs, it was first cocaine. And then,
So pause it right there. How does a young bride become aware that her husband, I think this is a hiding issue, is it not? You try to hide this as long as you can. How does a young bride detect this and confront it?
I didn't know about any of that when this was happening. I didn't know what the signs were for cocaine.
So you're just out there, have no clue. You're living in Never Never Land.
Yeah.
And he's not around, apparently. Right. I mean, you don't just do this at the kitchen table for dessert or anything. So he has to leave at night, or he has to not come.
There's neighbors that he would go to and hang out with and stuff, and I'd go to sleep. Cause
you would never say, hey, Ricky, bro, husband, I mean, where are you? What are you doing?
I'm just hanging out and having a few beers,
And you were okay with that? You just didn't know the extent of a few
I didn't
beers.
know the extent of it, yeah.
Okay. So he tumbled off into a greater and greater addiction with pretty strong drugs, not just alcohol.
Correct.
But it ended in... Yeah. Is he alive today?
No, he passed away 11 years ago.
From?
The long-term effects of the drugs. It wasn't drugs that killed him. He had the liver that was enlarged, the heart was enlarged. He had a heart attack, basically, is what they ruled it. But
so it was never an overdose or something
no,
like that. It was just the body couldn't stand this.
Correct.
Withstand, I mean.
Yeah.
Wow. So how long were you married to Ricky? Till he died?
Till he died, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you were caretaking, or no?
He didn't live with us. Because of the drugs, we separated. So he always was, in and out of jail a lot, and would stay with people that he,
Is this all happening in Texas, or is this
No, this is all in Georgia.
Back to Georgia. So you had Stacy was the first daughter.
Correct.
And then you had another daughter with Ricky?
I had yes. Leanne was my first daughter with Ricky.
Okay. And then who else came into the
picture?
picture?
Then it was April came 2 years later.
Okay, so 3 girls.
I have 3 girls.
Wonderful. So Ricky, somewhere along the line, doesn't become a father.
Correct.
So you're the mother, caring now for 3 children. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You said, I think, that Stacy got into drugs as well.
Yeah, later in life.
Leanne got into.
Correct.
And April followed as well.
Yes.
That's a drop the mic right there. So, do you lay that at the feet of Ricky? How do you transfer addiction?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Did you ever do drugs?
Never.
Oh, preacher's girl, what a lily white angel we have here in our
No.
Unbelievable.
The most I've ever done was, my sister she'd say, come on, just take a toke of this joint. And I've tried. I can't even smoke cigarettes. Choke. So no.
Your story mirrors mine in as much as I was raised in a very conservative home, and there was a song that came out, One Toke Over the Line. I thought it was one toe.
No.
Put a toe over the line.
It's
I used to sing that, a toke, and I'm like, what's a toke? So you don't even have to inform me what it is. I just assume it's not a toe. And so Ricky, absenteeism, but there was something that caused 3 daughters to move down the identical path. Do you know what it was?
Well, now this is just my opinion.
That's what we're here for.
My oldest daughter, I think, because she was 10 years old before my second child was born, so she was basically an only child. And her dad was not around. He didn't, he was one that paid child support religiously, but never visited or got visitation. So I think she sort of felt, when I got married, I get a feeling that she sort of felt like she didn't belong because the other 2 daughters those are her half-sisters.
When you said Stacy, the eldest, got into drugs later in life.
Well, she probably 18 years old, 17 or 18. Yeah.
And that's here in Atlanta somewhere. And how do you find drugs? How did Stacy find herself in a group of people that brought her into?
It was just a group of people that I guess that she was with, and someone told me she was doing it because she didn't live at home. She moved out.
Oh.
She moved out.
When she was under your roof, there was no drug issue whatsoever.
Not that I know of.
Did you ever suspect after she moved out that this was a new life for her?
Yeah, I found out probably 2 years after she moved out, I would say.
So you've got Leanne and April both at home. When did the second child find drugs to be a friend?
She had moved out. She got no, it was before.
Yeah, she was 13.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes, you did.
Well,
yes,
I know
she did.
Smoking pot. Yeah, I'm
Which
sorry.
is a drug.
Yeah, which is a drug. You're right. So yeah, she used to smoke with her dad. He would smoke with her.
And did that lead Leanne to some harder drugs?
Yeah, she had some. She later got married, and she had some medical problems that caused her pain. And so when she went to the doctor, of course,
sure.
they prescribed pain medicine,
Sure.
which led to the harsher drugs, where she
These are all
eventually heroin. Yeah,
so not prescription drugs, but it just led to
it was prescription drugs to start with, and
sort
then
of a gateway and led.
Yep.
Okay, then we have young April here. April, tell me, this is fascinating. I'm on the edge of my seat. So you're living at home.
Mm-hmm.
How did you start a life or down the road of being introduced to a life of drugs? Was it to start with drinking?
No, it was marijuana. It was pot, and I started smoking. It was a week before my 17th birthday.
So somewhere between 13 and 18, all three daughters are connected to a brand new life.
yeah.
Did you, when you were 17, were you living at home?
Mm-hmm. I was.
So tell me what it's like to hide this from mother.
Terrible. Very difficult. But, that early on, it was maybe like a once a month kind of thing
okay.
that I would get into with my friends at the time. And, usually later in the evening when mom is asleep. So I'd, sneak back in the house and just go to bed. I'm sleepy anyways. I'll just go to bed.
How long did you hide this?
I don't know. How long would you say it took for you from me turning 17? Did you suspect anything?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
Wow.
but, what I'm hearing here is we have a very faithful mom. A mom who's watched a husband tumble off, oldest daughter go from pot to real life, from second daughter, and you never wrote anybody off. You kept loving these girls as best you could.
Yep.
At whatever distance you were. None of them lived at home at this point other than
April.
when she was, and what you didn't know anything about April's condition.
No.
Okay, then lead me down the path of what, step by step. You started with marijuana once a month with friends in the hood, sneaking back home, going to sleep. How was your night? Oh, Mom, it was great. We just played a few records or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Then that, after I turned 18, I had a job. I was working in a restaurant, so I had money to buy the marijuana, so that became more often.
Where do you buy marijuana?
What? Friends.
Does everybody have it?
Back then it felt like it.
I mean, if you would say to me, Johnny, here's money, go buy marijuana, I would go, where? Can you give me I mean, I must live in an alternative universe, but you would know right now where to go to buy drugs.
Well, now it would probably take me a little longer because I'm out of it. But
could you buy tonight at midnight? Could you find the sources?
Probably,
it's
yes.
that available is all I'm
Yes.
trying to.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you had money now because you're a big restaurant girl, and now you're buying. Did you steal?
No, never.
You just always paid your own way, so to speak.
Yeah.
What did it lead to?
An early pregnancy for sure. I was pregnant with Lexi by the time I was 19. Yeah.
You're hesitating now. You're going slow, so you have a baby out there.
Yeah. I did quit, during the pregnancy, of course. And I was good up until She was about a year and a half old. 2 years old. And I moved in with one of my best friends growing up. Her and her husband just had a little girl. They were moving into a larger place. I started working at Quick Trip with them, and they smoked around the clock.
Marijuana?
Yes. Yeah. So when I moved in with them, it started back. I was smoking all the time.
And where's your paycheck going?
Straight to marijuana. I would pay my portion of the bills to them, and then it was kind of a pool. We pulled in money to pay the rent, and then what was ever left over, we pulled in to get marijuana for the house.
What does marijuana do? Other than get a person addicted, what do you feel?
Relaxed.
In a way that music couldn't do it, or just chilling with what is it, hard lemonade or something? Mike's Lemonade?
Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Mike's Hard Lemonade.
And I mean, to be perfectly honest, I didn't see as much harm in smoking marijuana as I would, say, drinking, because I grew up watching a man, break his body down and break our family down with drinking. So that wasn't something that I really wanted to get into. Not even on an occasional basis. I really didn't have much interest in drinking.
So you saw what it did to your father, and you said, that's enough for me. I'm not going to do that. But the marijuana, he also did, but you didn't get the same kind of feeling about that.
No.
Okay, so now you're living with this family group, whatever. Then what does it lead to?
Adderall. I started abusing Adderall. I was working really hard shifts at this convenience store, and Adderall helped me get through it. It helped me stay alert and focused and organized.
How'd you pay for that?
It was actually provided to me by a roommate.
By Quick Trip.
By a roommate.
By the roommate, of course.
Yeah.
And what did that lead to?
That led to the use of methamphetamines.
Did you know this? You were on this road? Did you know that you were going from something a little more exciting? You did it willfully?
At that time, yeah. Just using the Adderall, it's a prescription drug. I didn't see, it leading to, anything worse than, where I was at.
Kathy, did you know this was going on? No idea.
Because she wasn't living with me.
But
at the time.
What about Mother's Day? What about Christmas? What about the times that somebody said, hey, come on over? Didn't feel anything?
Well, I think it's different when you see them during the day, in a setting with everybody else, because she just seemed alert to me.
Hyper?
Yeah,
Okay. Now you're down, you're getting harder and harder.
Mm-hmm.
And then where?
What do you mean?
What, more drugs?
No.
Okay, Adderall and what else?
Adderall and meth. Crystal meth.
I think that's pretty strong.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Definitely not discounting that.
And how did you pay for that?
Money from work. Never stole it.
Good for you. Okay, so did you ever consider yourself a drug addict?
Not until 2017, when I was no longer employed and still finding ways to get it. Whether it be just, asking mom for $10 not stealing from her, but just asking mom for $10. Let me go to the store, and then I go and get a little bag and I'm set, or I go hang out with friends that are doing it and I get it that way.
So at some point you move back home.
Yes.
So you two are living together in some kind of environment, rented apartment or house or whatever it is, and now you have a drug addict living in your home. Mm-hmm. Were you aware?
I questioned a lot. For instance, she would, I would be asleep, and I go to bed early, but I would get up sometimes and she'd still be awake, and I'd go, "Why? I just can't sleep, Mom. I can't sleep. I have anxiety, and and this, I just can't sleep."
Was it anxiety? I mean, that's real.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And a drug can induce hyperism.
Absolutely. When I was in middle school, like even as young as 6th grade, I had a lot of anxiety.
I can imagine.
More specifically, social anxiety. Being in large groups, even just an interaction in the hallway, somebody passing me in the hallway and saying hello, I'm putting my head down and I'm not speaking. I'm just going to my classes. And I make a correlation with smoking marijuana. When I started smoking marijuana, I started coming out of that shell a little bit. I didn't feel as much anxiety. And then when I started doing the Adderall again, I started feeling that anxiety a little bit, not crippling like it was in middle school, but it was still there. It's definitely still there.
I've got to hear this story. Now, you, right now, as I understand it, you have been clean for a year or more.
April 28th. So a year in...
April 28th was your first year anniversary of being totally clean.
Yep.
How does that happen?
Everything. I was losing everything. Everything.
But you were living at home.
Right.
No job.
No job. I hadn't worked since 2017. January. No, it was April. Actually, April of 2017, I quit working.
And you're fully aware of this, Kathy, that she is now in a very difficult place with drugs.
Yes, right before she stopped, yes.
How did you keep loving, knowing all this?
Because she's my child, my mother, and I look for the best in my children, and I had faith that they would, be okay eventually.
You have an unbelievable mother. Do you know that?
I do, definitely.
Okay, so you come to this eureka moment.
Yeah,
No job.
Can't
hold a job.
The relationship with my daughter and my daughter's dad was terrible. It was really bad. He didn't trust me to do anything, and I don't blame him. And I, of course, in my addiction, let me get through this week, or let me do this, let me do that, and then I'll quit. I'll quit. And one day I woke up and I said it, and I was just like, okay, this is just it. Like, I don't have anything. I'm out of everything. I don't have money for anything else. So this is the day that I'm gonna be done.
How many times have you said that before?
Plenty.
And what was different about this time?
I don't know. It just felt like the time. It was just
no rehab program.
Nope.
No DUI. No incarceration.
My mama was my rehab program.
Oh yeah.
It was a rough week.
Yep.
My mama had a rough week that week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you detoxed, or
I found out about it.
Oh my goodness.
I told a really good friend of mine, yes. And he's straight laced, doesn't do any drugs, he barely drinks, only on occasion. But he's my best friend. I told him, hey, I've been doing this for a while now and I'm quitting now. So
How long were you doing this total? How many years? From marijuana on to crystal meth.
It was 5 years.
5 years. And you wake up one day and say, I'm out of gas. I'm done.
Yeah.
And that was really true.
Yes.
The only program you had was this woman sitting right here.
That's it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I told, the friend came in my room and told me about it. And I said, well, I tell you what. Tell her to stay in that room until she's done. I don't want to see her come out until she is okay. Because I know from seeing my other daughter have to detox, you just have to leave them alone. Let them get through it.
Like what? What happens?
Well, because you're angry, the mood is bad, and you feel like you're in pain. I learned that from my middle daughter, Leanne.
And was that true for you?
Oh, definitely.
Did you throw stuff in that room?
Oh, yeah.
It got ugly. I slept for 2 days. Mm-hmm. I slept for 2 days. The third day, I was kind of agitated when I was awake. The fourth day, it was awful.
What does that
yelling,
mean?
Screaming. My muscles felt tense, and I couldn't. I was so restless. I could not sit still. I couldn't sleep anymore.
Did you stay in the room?
Yeah. I was scared of her. I was not leaving that room.
Did you eat?
No. No, not for those first 4 days.
What?
Yeah. I had water.
Did you
sodas, whatever I had.
Did you throw anything in there? Did you destroy anything in that room?
My personal belongings, like clothes and stuff, would get thrown around. Like if I was looking for something, because the effects were still there. The frantic, restlessness was still there for those 4 days.
And how long did it take total?
How long did it take?
For you to come back to reality?
That fifth or sixth day, I was out and moving around and eating and stuff again.
You felt different? Mm-hmm. Did you know something chemically changed inside, or something was...
I'd already, by the sixth day, I already felt 100 times better.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But all your friends, how did you stay there when you have all your friend network that says, hey, April, come on back in here?
Well, towards the end of my addiction, a way that I fueled my addiction while I was still in it is I would get some and sell it to other people. And that's how I, sure, got to be high for free. So when that started dwindling out and I didn't have money to make the big purchase to distribute or whatever, a lot of those friends kind of just moved along. They forgot all about April. But one of my great friends who was within the addiction with me quit maybe 7 days after I did.
Got some strength there.
Yeah.
And the miracle of this story is the two other daughters came out as well. They're free?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let me rehearse this. You had a husband who was addicted. You had 3 daughters that were addicted. Mm-hmm. Your husband died because of his addiction. All 3 daughters, as of this date, have come through addiction, and they are now clean and clear.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know if this is a story about a journey out of addiction or if it's a story of a mother's love for her children, no matter what. But I think there are thousands of people today that heard this story and said, there is hope for me. There's hope for my family. I'm not giving up on this. Mm-mm. What would you tell somebody who is where you were? What would you say? Even if they're smoking right now, if they're doing it.
You can let go of this addiction. It is physically, emotionally, and mentally, you can do it. It's there, and there are way brighter, easier days ahead of you if you make that leap to quit your addiction.
The funniest thing about this, or the most interesting thing, is that, Kathy, when you started work, when I knew you back when, April, you now have that same job.
Yep.
That she
sure
started.
And I love my job. I love my job.
So interesting. What if somebody wants to get in contact with you? Would you mind? Would you want to hear from them?
Absolutely.
How would we get in contact with you? Do you have an email number, an email address? Do you want them to call me?
They can call you.
Okay.
Get to me.
Okay. We're going to, this is amazing. This is Kathy and April Hill. I would call this to hell and back. Yeah. I mean, you have absolutely come from the pit. I am so grateful for both of you. I'd do anything for you.
I'm so proud of my daughters. I just want them to know that. And I tell them that a lot. I'm very proud of where they've come today than they were before. I have my middle daughter, who was the worst ever, was on heroin. I mean, bad heroin. And she is pregnant now with her second child.
Oh, my goodness.
And so she's living a great drug-free life. And she's got a great man, great partner. And he treats her first child as his own. So everything is, looking good.
Falling into place.
And
Yeah.
there's hope for you.
There's hope for me.
There's a man out there. Should I have him contact you directly, or should they come to me and then I can?
No,
you're good.
I'm good.
You two have been absolutely a delight. Thank you for opening your heart and opening your journey to us. This is End Resultz Radio. My name's Johnny Crist. The name of this show is That's Exciting. And boy, have you guys ever put the punctuation mark on that? That's exciting. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank
Thank you for having us.